Heads or tails?
That's a head. But have you ever wondered कि ये heads आया कहाँ से है? Tails में तो variation है, but heads can be seen on a variety of things such as your currency, गवर्नमेंट के काफी एम्बलम्स, उनके जो मोहर है, गवर्नमेंट डॉक्यूमेंट्स है, गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल की गाड़ी के ऊपर, एंड वेयर नॉट इट इज सीन. So let's talk about in much more detail कि ये heads आए कहाँ से है, which is known as त्रिमूर्ति, जिसमें चार head है. First, it was seen on the stump, which is an imitation of Ashoka's thumb found at Sarnath. On that stump, there was not only this head but lot of inscriptions as well. So why Ashoka is so relevant? Why he is so remembered, rather celebrated? We'll talk about all of that interesting stuff in our today's video, which is Tales of Head. So Ashoka was son of Bindusara, which was a lesser known king in history because he was overshadowed by his grandfather, means Ashoka's grandfather, Chandragupta Maurya. He was famous not because of his strategy and because of his empire, but because of this one person that you probably know, which is Chanakya or Kautilya. Now, Kautilya, this guy, have written a crazy book, which is Arthashastra. Arth literally means wealth, and Shastra, as you know, is the script. So Arthashastra not only covers about the wealth and wealth management, but also it covers the nitty-gritty details of the statecraft. And that's how they have built such a huge empire which spanned over 4 million square kilometers. अभी तो इंडिया 2.3.28 some million square kilometer है, but this was the ultimate Akhand Bharat, as you know. And that was now taken forward by Bindusara and then Ashoka. But now Ashoka is probably one of the greatest rulers. Why so? We will be discussing that very soon. But before that, ये इतना जो मैं आपको फैमिली बैकग्राउंड बताया हूँ, वन वर्ड में इट इज कॉल्ड एज डायनेस्टी या परिवारवाद, टू मैनेज दिस ह्यूज एम्पायर ऑफ हिज. सो जो मैंने ये तीन नाम लिए, ये तो उनकी हिस्ट्री है, पर साथ ही साथ इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द डायनेस्टी, विच इज मौर्यन डायनेस्टी. डायनेस्टी थोड़ा सुना सुना लगा होगा आपको. सो ऑल सारे फीचर्स तो यहाँ पे जो दिख रहे हैं, इट इज ऑफ अ किंग, but these people are referred as emperors. So what is the difference between a king and an emperor? So I'll sum up it in quick words. King is having a kingdom, and emperor is having a large empire which is consisting of little kingdoms. Basically difference वही है जो होता है एक स्टार और एक सुपरस्टार के बीच में, कि आपके पास बहुत ज्यादा प्रोजेक्ट्स है, बहुत ज्यादा काम है, बहुत ज्यादा फेम है, एंड वर्चुअली एवरीथिंग इज लॉट. जैसे यहाँ इनकम ज्यादा है, वहाँ टैक्सेस ज्यादा है, यहाँ काम ज्यादा है, वहाँ रिसोर्सेज ज्यादा है. सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ किंग एंड एन एम्परर. सो बी इट अ किंग और बी इट एन एम्परर, वन थिंग विच कैन बी नोटिस हियर इज इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस. उस वक्त पे भी ना, अभी जैसे G20 में रिप्रेजेंटेटिव आए हैं, उस टाइम पे अम्बेसडर, जैसे आप जानते हो राजदूत आए थे. तो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट राजदूत है जिसका नाम है मेगिस्थिनीस. ही वॉज अ एम्बेसडर ऑफ अ ग्रीक किंग सेलिकस नेकेटर. नाउ वी आर टू सी the record of Ashoka through his viewpoint. And you know how important is viewpoint in history, because a king तो अपने बारे में अच्छा ही लिखेगा, and who dare to go against him, right? So now this traveler have covered the massive and the impressive lifestyle of Ashoka, how he go about ruling his empire, how he go about living in his empire. So all these things are clubbed together in this record of the ambassador or the Rajdut. So here's the record of Megasthenes, and I'm directly reading from it. The occasion on which the emperor appears in public are celebrated with grand royal processions. He is carried in a golden palanquin. His guards ride elephants decorated with gold and silver. Some of the guards carry trees on which live birds, including a flock of trained parrots, circle about the head of the emperor. The king is normally surrounded by armed women. He is afraid that someone may try to kill him. He has a special servant to taste the food before he eats. He never sleeps in the same bedroom for 2 nights. And about Pataliputra, modern day Patna, he wrote, "This is large and beautiful city. It is surrounded by a massive wall. It has 570 towers and 64 gates. The houses of 2 and 3 stories are built of wood and mud brick. The king's palace is also of wood and decorated with stone carvings. It is surrounded with gardens and enclosures for keeping birds. Now, virtually, he had made a paradise for himself. His elephants were decorated with precious metal. He was surrounded by armed soldiers, and his head was seen with a flock of birds. Now, just imagine how fancy lifestyle he was living. And who was sustaining this lifestyle? Now, this is the question that we must ask. ये birds train होके कहाँ से आ रहे थे? ये elephants कहाँ से आ रहे थे? And talking about the place where he was living, where all these facilities was coming from. As you know that we have seen that this guy was now ruling more than 5 million square kilometers of land. So probably the question arises कि वो control कैसा करते थे? And you might have heard कि there are empires so big that it may fall under their own weight or collapse under their own weight. So now Ashoka have made a very clever system. Rather, we can say it was Kautilya who have made this system, जहाँ पे Ashoka was at the top, which was followed by the royal family members. उनके नीचे थे ministers और उनके नीचे थे governors. तो ये बहुत बड़ी hierarchy थी which was going through and across the whole empire. It's like the present day India, जहाँ पे आपने various provinces divide किए हैं, provinces में और ज़्यादा we can say states है, states के नीचे आपके districts है, districts में then और ज़्यादा blocks है, blocks के नीचे फिर पंचायत है. It's a very extensive and a very big system. Similarly, he was controlling the empire. Now that was the part which was directly being controlled under him, which was Pataliputra. Apart from there were provinces such as Ujjain. वहाँ पे governors उनका power assert करते थे या फिर prince होते थे who were under internship. For example, we can take Aurangabad as well. You might have heard once upon a time Aurangzeb was here as the governor. So then he was given this territory in order to learn that how to govern such big territory. Similar cases we see in IS as well, that they are giving this small areas जहाँ पे वो पहले सीखते हैं फिर बाद में वो ऑन फील्ड जाके practicalities के साथ सारी चीजें करते हैं. Third region was the vast stretches which was lying between these centers and the other regions. So वहाँ पे trade routes होते थे important. तो Mauryan Empire used to assert their dominance there. They used to say that this is our routes, our territories, and probably they used to collect many resources from there. The fourth was the region which was the forested area. And from the forested area, probably जैसा हमने पहले देखे थे, that these animals are there and lots of golds are there, well-trained flocks are there. So all these things are coming from forest to the king, probably in form of tribute. In addition to that, there is also this point that they were allowed to follow their customs. So that's how he was able to sustain such a big empire, by amassing whatever resources he can, by keeping it flexible, by giving power wherever he can, and by controlling wherever it is necessary. So our guy Ashoka have amassed a huge territory. Over 5 million square kilometers of land is under him, and that land is having a lot of personality into it. There are people from different languages. So now our guy Ashoka have ruled over 5 million square kilometer of land, which is 50 lakh square kilometer, the real Akhand Bharat, as you know, which was having Myanmar, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Nepal, all the present day countries which are around India except Sri Lanka. So now, to control this much of land, a very clever system was put into place, जहाँ पे head थे खुद अशोका, उनके नीचे थी royal members की family, followed by the ministers and the governors. तो पूरा एक centralized system था जिसे बहुत अच्छे तरीके से ऑपरेट किया जा रहा था by अशोका. तो जो पटालीपुत्र का region था, it was like present day Delhi. There he was asserting most of his power. Apart from Pataliputra, there were other provinces as well जिनके अपने capital हुआ करते थे. For example, महाराष्ट्र को अगर एज अ प्रोविंस हम देखें आज के इंडिया का, तो यहाँ पे मुंबई इज द कैपिटल. सिमिलरली उज्जैन और तक्षशिला जैसे कैपिटल से जहां से वो उस प्रोविंस को रूल करते थे. सो पटालीपुत्र वाज द सेंटर और द कैपिटल. फ्रॉम दैट कैपिटल दे वर असर्टिंग पावर ऑन द प्रोविंशियल कैपिटल एंड कंट्रोलिंग द टेरिटरी अराउंड. इसके अलावा थर्ड टाइप ऑफ रीजन वाज द वास्ट स्ट्रेचेस बिटवीन दीज सेंटर्स. मोस्टली इट वाज फॉरेस्टेड रीजन, पर वहां से इंपॉर्टेंट ट्रेड रूट जाते थे एंड दे वर कंट्रोलिंग दिस ट्रेड रूट इन ऑर्डर टू गेन मनी. And that money was again now being utilized by him to support his extravagant lifestyle. उसके अलावा लास्ट जो रीजन था that was purely forested region. वहां पे आपके ट्राइबल पीपल्स थे and these tribal peoples more or less willingly or less willingly was giving tributes to him. जैसे हमने starting में देखे थे, he was having elephants and flocks of bird and whatnot. So all of these things were coming from his forested region. With a clever system and with all of these things in place, he was ruling his empire in a very quiet, brilliant manner. इन सब में एक इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्टर ये था कि देयर वर स्पाइस यानी जासूस who were going to and fro along with the messengers, keeping an eye on the governors, on the family members, and on the officials that whether things are going on in a smooth manner or not. This all made Ashoka give up the war. And why we love Ashoka so much? क्या बात है ऐसी कि दूसरे भी जो kings थे, they have also done a lot good, not only through Dhamma like things, but they have taken many initiatives, which are not to be talked now, but just a little bit of psychoanalysis of Ashoka. Now, this was a guy with immense power. He was kind of an evil hero with good intentions. So that is what makes Ashoka so appealing to us. Like every other Telugu picture hero, the guy is very evil. He is slaughtering people, he is killing everyone. But then he have a good heart, like the KGF guy, right? So same thing can be somewhere reflected here in the character of Ashoka, and that is also one of the reasons that it is so appealing to us, that he was a guy that can inflict such pain, such anguish over the people, but now he is taking course of good and good for good. So what happens is now he practiced Dhamma, which involves no worship of God, and it deters from animal sacrifice. Talking about animal sacrifice, इसका direct relation आप कलिंगा war से देख सकते हो, where thousands of animals were killed as well. So that left an impression on him that not only humans but animals should also be preserved. तो इस मैसेज को उन्होंने कोड किया इंस्क्रिप्शन के फॉर्म में और जगह जगह लगा दिया, where people can read it. And if people cannot read it, he was having these special officers which was known as Dhamma Mahamatta. तो ये इंस्क्रिप्शन पे मैसेज ये था कि देखो मेरे सब्जेक्ट्स, मेरे देशवासियों, you should not fight amongst yourself, you should respect each other, you should respect each other's religion, and please do not fight amongst yourself. We all are humans and we should behave like humans, he is saying. So we should listen, because he have seen the worst of the humanity, and now he have seen that there is nothing in it. Means he have seen that how powers corrupts you absolutely, and in the end you are left with nothing but pain and sorrow. So he now, like a father figure, is trying to go all out and help and do welfare of his subjects, जो कि आज हमारे लिए गवर्नमेंट भी करती है. Like they are making roads for us, they are providing water for us. So he was doing also similar stuff, like digging wells, building roads, making rest house for the travelers at that time, and many such good things, such as planting trees as well. So in short, this was the Dhamma of Ashoka. So now, after hearing all of these things about Ashoka, you might probably have thought that he is a unique ruler, but still there is a catch. He is unique not only because he have given war after conquest, not because he have deployed such skillful way to amass and to control such an empire, but there is one more catch to it. It is the stamp which we have started this very chapter with, the inscription that he have used, which are nonetheless equal to the banners that you can see on the roads, which carries a very powerful message. It just takes you 2 to 3 seconds to have a look at it, and it's clear in your mind that this is the message the company is trying to convey. Similarly, he have these stumps or the pillars installed at various places, which were carrying very powerful message for good of the people. So that was something unique that Ashoka have implemented, and we can say this is how marketing goes back to thousands of years. Like 2300 years ago, Ashoka came up with this unique message of installing stump to give the message to the people. Now already I have read you from the inscription, but that was purely about the war. But now I want to read this message, which is for the subject and which was read by the Dhamma Mahatma to his people. So here's the message to the subject, यानी कि जो उनकी प्रजा है उनके लिए. People perform a variety of ritual when they fall ill, when their children get married, when children are born, or when they go on a journey. These rituals are not useful. If instead people observe other practices, this would be more fruitful. what are these other practices? Now somewhere here जो एक हमारा superstitious belief है वहां से भी shift आप देख रहे हैं towards more humanitarian approach towards the life. So these are being gentle with slaves and servants, respecting one's elders, treating all creatures with compassion, giving gifts to Brahmins and monks. It is both wrong to praise one's own religion or to criticize other. This is another very beautiful teaching by Ashoka, which is still relevant to this date. Each one should respect the other's religion. If one praises one's own religion while criticizing others' religion, one is actually doing greater harm to one's own religion. Therefore, one should try to understand the main ideas of others' religion and respect it. Now, what a beautiful message to give to a country which is a melting pot of culture. That how you should be respectful to one another. How you should, if you are not able to accept, at least you should have decency to know the idea of other religion, and then you probably will be able to have respect for them. As Abraham Lincoln once said, that if I hate a person, I should know him better. So if you hate an idea or a religion, you should know it better. So that is another strong message given by Ashoka. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our very first prime minister, said that his edicts, means Ashoka के जो edicts है, instructions है, they still speak to us in a language we can understand, and we can still learn so much from them. So now you yourself can think for yourself and list down it in the comment that how these things are relatable. Aren't there servants in the society? Aren't there people with different religion around you? So just let me know that how this message is still relevant to you, and put it down in bullet forms in the comment section below. So इसी के साथ we have come to end of this tales of tales, and so far what we have learned is who was Ashoka, dynasty क्या है, उनके family background क्या है, how he amassed such a big emperor, वो emperor को चलाते कैसा थे, power structure कैसा था, उसके अलावा वो wars किस तरह से उन्होंने लड़े, क्यों लड़े, और war के बाद कैसे उनके life में drastic change आया, and how that things that he have experienced in the war are directly related to Dhamma. जैसे कि वहाँ slaves और orphans थे, तो वैसा उन्होंने similarly उन्हें protect करने की, support करने की बात की. Animals वहाँ मारे गए, यहाँ पे उन्होंने उनके लिए hospitals तक खोल दिए. So this is the kind of things that we have discussed today. And then we have seen one unique thing about Ashoka, that how he have put down all these important beautiful things on the edicts, माने जो स्तंभ हमने starting में देखे थे. So this is all from our side, and hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave your feedback in the comments below.